Okay, 32 orders going out. That's a pretty busy day for a Thursday afternoon to Friday morning. 32 orders, we'll take that. Momentum, right? So today's Friday episode is going to be about business growth, how to grow your business. We're going to talk about some of the physical aspects and interweave some of the mental aspects that you need to have in order to make your business grow, if that's what you want to do. Today on The Crazy Picker Life with Wheeler, Dealer, and Banana Peeler. Welcome, fellow pickers and would-be adventurers. Dealer here with a Friday edition of The Crazy Picker Life. Topic day, right? Okay, so if you watched yesterday, I mentioned we would talk about how to grow your business, why you'd want to grow your business, steps to growing your business, things you can do to grow your business. Everybody wants to grow their business, right? Well, not everybody. And sometimes growing your business is a desire. Sometimes you have a game plan. Sometimes it's just an idea. Hey, I want to grow my business. You know, I want to be a millionaire. You know, I want to double my business. I want to make more money. I want to make more income. I want to add product lines to my business. I want to add people to my business. I want to make it happen. Well, these are all ideas about growing your business, but when it comes right down to it, if you're just doing the same thing today that you're doing tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day, if there's not change, if you don't, you as the business owner, you as the person who's running the show, if you don't change it, it ain't gonna change. In fact, a lot of times I think things can change for the worse. Now, sometimes things change for the better. I'll give you a quick example. We've been through several camera trends where something was hot, and then you buy a bunch of them, and then I don't know if everybody else picks up on it or something changes. It's not. And then it's even possible to get hot again. And so some of that is seasonality. Every year for us, cameras get hot around January to April, somewhere in there. People are getting ready for summer. They're getting their gear dusted off from winter, getting it ready for summer. I don't know. They get bored indoor. Who knows? But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily talking about every year seasonality. It's just sometimes things get hot and sometimes they don't. Another quote. No, a quote. This is not my thought. This is a quote from somewhere else. I'm not going to take the time to look it up. But smart people say your business is either growing or going. Okay? Growing or going. I'm going to talk a lot about my business journey during this talk and some of the lessons that I learned or hoped I learned. You know, the whole thing is an adventure. It's an experience. It's experiential. It's ongoing. It's day by day. There's grind. There's things that change in your lives. When you're running your business, there's things that change in mine. All those things affect the future of your business and your business activities. So it does pay, in my opinion, to have a mindset of growth. Even if your business isn't doubling every year, the idea that if you're not expanding your business and your business knowledge and your business mindset and how you do business, your business is actually losing ground. Now, if you just start your business, or if you're just starting your eBay business, it's not tough the first year to grow your business. I mean, you start out day one with a bucket full of crawdads, and you pick through them and you find a couple and shine them up and put them out there. You're like, wow, look at that. Caught my nail on a package today and split it right at the top, right down. Ooh, look at that. Split it. It's bothering me. It's got a snag on it. So the next day you go and you shop around, and I'm using crawdads. You can call it whatever you want. Widgets. You go out and you buy some more, and you list again. You're getting pretty excited because you just got your first sale. You go out and do it again, over and over and over. And after the first week, you went from $0 to $200 in sales. And you probably learned a lot. Even if you're a seasoned business person or seasoned online, let's say you started selling on eBay, you probably learned a lot your first week. And you'll probably learn a lot your second week and your third week and your fourth week. But if you keep at it, obviously growing your business in the early stages can be doable, right? But what if you go along for a while and you get to the point where you're working X hours per day and you're putting out 80% effort? You know, nobody goes out and sprints all day long. And you're working X days per week, 5 days per week, 6 days per week. You're putting in your weekly time that you want to put in there. And taking seasonality out of it. You know, if you sell Halloween costumes, obviously there's hot time of the year and there's other times of the year. If you take that out of your business, whatever you're selling, your business is pretty much going along at an average pace, and you're happy and you're where you're at. And one day you've been doing that for a year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, and you say, I'm hanging in there, but what do I got to do to grow my business? Well, you can go on a momentum journey. You know, you can, instead of working 6 hours a day, you can work 8. Instead of working 10, you can work 12. Instead of working at 80%, you can work at 90%. Instead of working 6 days a week, I guess you could work 7 days a week. So you can do that for a while, right? But what happens when you burn out? What happens when you, go off the rails a little bit? What happens when you got to take a breath or take a vacation or go to a wedding or eat supper? So you can only sprint for so long. That's one way to grow your business temporarily. But that's not really what I'm talking about here. So what happens if you're making X dollars a year, take home? You got a gross number, you got all your expenses, you've got a net number, and let's just say it's $50,000 a year net. And you're looking down the road and you're like, well, things keep getting more expensive. Every year, taxes seem to go up, prices of certain things go up, technology moves forward, and they tell us we're getting more for our money, so we should be happy and just buy it and enjoy it. Yeah. So, and of course, there is some truth to all those different things. There's also another side of the story. So you're going along and, you're putting in, 50-hour week. If you're a sole practitioner full-time in this business, 50-hour week's probably normal. Some days you work longer, some days you work shorter, some days you don't know where the work stops and the fun ends and the fun stops and the work ends, right? If you're working at home like I am now, there is a very fine line between when I'm working and when I'm not. You may have the same challenges depending if you're working alone, working with your whole family, working with some other situation, working away from the business. All have pros and cons. Anyway, you're working, right? So you're working 50 hours a week. You're netting 50 grand a year. You're looking around and you're like, okay, I would like to grow my net dollars 10 grand next year. I'd like to make 60 next year. What do I have to do? And so, you know, there's a whole bunch of different discussions you can have with yourself. However you quantify it. I want to double my income in 5 years. I want to make $1 million next year. Sometimes I get these little pop-ups and things before YouTube videos, and it's nothing new, but there's a lot of get-rich-quick ideas out there. And building a long-term buying and selling business, building an eBay business, building an Amazon business, building a buy somewhere, sell somewhere else business. Sure, you can hit a jackpot once in a while. There's all those kind of stories tend to float to the surface. The crew of the, you know, whatever ship finds treasure and it's worth $33 million. And you know, somebody from Storage Wars finds paintings worth $700,000, and I found this and I found that, and da 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 da. Those things happen, especially if you're in the game long enough, but you can't count on them. More than likely, you'll find a $1,000 score once in a while, and that'll be exciting. But again, none of these things are what will produce long-term growth. None of these things will change the dynamic of your business long term, where you can count on them. You know, we can't count on anything, but if you're to forecast your future, you want to be able to count on it. You don't want to have to work 20 hours a day just to get a raise, right? We went to Charleston, South Carolina area, and we went to the tea plantation. And this is Charleston's tea plantation, green tea with mango, Bigelow. And you can get it down there, and you can get it in a few places down there, but I found it on Amazon, so I order it. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good drink. Crazy stuff down there in Charleston. They're actually growing tea. I believe it's one of the only places, if not the only place, in the United States that's growing tea. Wouldn't know that unless you showed up there, right? Okay, let me show this. Let's cut to the chase here. I got to watch my time. I'm going out to eat with my honey. Go get some Big Money beer by Defiance Brewing. Gonna get a nice salmon steak dinner with asparagus or green beans or something. Have some Big Money beer. Sit and relax out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, I came up with 4 ways to grow your business long term. And I think you should put some thought into it if you really want to do it. I mean, there's things you can do on the fly. You can say, all right, I'm going out twice a week to source items instead of once. And I'm going out twice a week hoping to expand my route and to look at more items and buy better items. That's a plan, right? But if you start writing it down in a little more detail with some goals and some ideas on what you hope to achieve, and make that, I always like to make it a 1-page plan. So I'll scribble some stuff, I'll think some stuff. It might take a couple of days, might be a couple scraps of this paper and that paper, and then I will consolidate it on a 1-page plan. I'll put some goals, I'll put some dates, I'll talk to some people that are involved in my family, and I might think about it for a day or so, and then I'll go. And some of those plans work, and some of them don't, and you can take that experience down the road. So that's just the way I do it, okay? Now, some of my plans are fairly crazy to the average person. We were going to go on the road full time with a family of 6 kids and 2 adults, and we were going to go 3 months in one location and 3 months in another location and just go. And I had Lon saying, okay, we'll do it, my wife, And the kids were like, okay, we don't know what that means, but it sounds fun. Wheeler was in on it. Everybody was in on it. And by the time we researched and did a number of things and thought about it, I was the one that had to nix my own plan. So all plans don't work. It turned out that being on the road is expensive. And in order to hold it all together, I would not have been able to have as much fun as I wanted to have. I wanted to be on vacation 3 months, right? I would have had to work probably double time. Because A, you got to explore the area and make sure things are cool. B, there's a lot of research that needs to be done to have a storage unit, have the vehicle ready, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You got to do the work. Where do you stay? You got to integrate with that. You got to make sure the neighbors are cool. There's a whole fatherly, husbandly protection antennas that come on. And so this 3-month cycle would have been a lot like getting ready for a vacation every 3 months, which does take some prep if you want to do it right. And then, of course, you're supposed to homeschool and run a business. So I came to the conclusion that that's a little too fast-paced for me. And then we went on a 6-week vacation anyway. And that was fun. That was plenty. I'd like to do that every 2 years. I don't think I can do it every year. Time and money. It was quite expensive. And it was quite relaxing. Okay, so I came up with 4 ways to grow business. This is on a tripod, and I'm not very good at moving it and putting it back, but let's see how this goes. Okay. I came up with this. Add products, add people, add outlets, buying and selling, grow yourself. All right, so what do I mean by all these, right? I mean, obviously, these all sound pretty simple. Dealer, what are you trying to do here? Business 101 us? What are you trying to pull here? Some kind of 1-hour episode that's full of shim-sham-a-lama-dama? Shim-shim-a-lima ding-dong ding-a-ling-a-wing-wang? Oh, what's in that Bigelow tea there? What's in that Charleston tea? It's making me dizzy. Oh. Okay, Friday afternoon. You know, I didn't do the math, but I think we had 5 or 6 days averaging 1 order per hour. This week, busy week, ended with 32 orders today. That's a lot of orders. That's a lot of orders for us. Now, you may have a business, or there are certainly other businesses that 1 order an hour is a slow day. But for us, that's a lot. That's a lot of orders to handle. And that's where I want to be, but I need to grow my business a little bit in order to handle that. And when you get into a momentum listing like we are, the hope is that you start selling some stuff. And what starts to happen when you start selling some stuff is it starts to show some of the holes in your business, and then you can go back to the drawing board and plug those holes with your fingers or whatever. You know, you can come up with some things, right? All right. Now I think I'm going to pause this right here and then launch. Wheeler explained it to me one time, but for whatever reason, every 20 minutes plus this camera goes into a fritz, and if you don't turn it off and start it over, it just turns off, which I would notice because I'm looking at this screen. It's got this square on it that keeps getting smaller and bigger with my head as I come forward. It moves with my head and tracks me. Not exactly sure why that is. It feels kind of freaky because the camera doesn't move. Why does it care if it's tracking me? Is it doing something? Is it you know, making me look so fresh and better? Doubtful. Okay, gotta look over here. Add products. Okay, in the last 10 years of my eBay business, and it's probably been about 10 years, one of my channels on eBay has been around since 1999, and I had probably 2 or 3 spurts of selling stuff on eBay up till maybe 2007. So between 1999 and 2007, I sold some stuff for the family business, some sharper image air purifiers, sold a couple hundred of them. I sold DVDs, and my biggest month in DVDs, I sold 300-400 in a month, I think, maybe a few more. And then I was on the tail end of the DVD business and could not compete. I didn't want to make $1 on each. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. I saw the writing on the wall. Walmart had just brought in the discount DVDs. Couldn't buy them low enough. Couldn't sell them high enough. A lot of competitors. Got out. And then there was something else. Can't remember what it was. If I can't remember it, it probably wasn't that great. Between 2007 and now, 10, 11 years, we've had 3 or 4 big product line changes and additions, and a lot of general merchandise flowing through the business. Hi, sis. So, if you can find a product to sell that makes you good money on eBay, a product or product line, it is my opinion that you should buy and sell it until you can no longer buy and sell it at a rate that makes sense. Okay? A company called Alpine Air made air purifiers back in probably the 80s up until maybe the year 1996, 7, somewhere in there. And they sold to a company called EcoQuest. And then sometime in 2006, 5, 6, EcoQuest sold to a company called Volera, and they made air purifiers. And it's a great product. There's a bunch of great products that came out of there. There's some that are okay products, and there were some that were sort of eh. But for the most part, really good products. We use them today. I use their air purifiers today. I'm sold. I like them. They were reasonably unique in the marketplace. They did what they said they would do. They took some explanation and some technical aspects of setting them up, so they weren't a commodity that could be sold at Walmart. They were a good product. And I found that some people bought them with the hopes to sell them and never did. So there were a lot of them around new in box if you could find them. And so I bought them from distributors that never sold them, and I resold them on eBay. And I did quite well. One time I found somebody who bought so many of them, they had them in a storage unit. There were over 200 of them. And let's see, 200, I think I paid $200 each. That's a lot of money, right? What is that, $40,000? 200 times 2 is 400, 4,000, $40,000, plus they had some other stuff. So that was a big purchase, pulled up somewhere in Utah, and that's a whole story in itself. So we did the air purifiers for a while, and I did that for over a year on eBay. I don't know, maybe 2 years on eBay. And before that, I built a website reviewing air purifiers, and I was going to go that route. Sort of had a brain drain that I wanted to do that, and it was going okay, and both things sort of worked hand in hand, and I was selling a lot of them. And then the company changed hands, and they didn't like the stuff on eBay, so they did some sort of Vero thing and wiped me out, more or less. I couldn't sell them anymore on eBay. And after a while, the environment changed and you could sell them on eBay. But I never got back up to steam again. It took the steam out of my train, and I moved on to another product line, test strips, diabetic test strips, and I was buying those from all over the United States and reselling those. And right along that time, also cameras came in, and we kind of experimented with cameras, and Wheeler got involved doing part-time cameras, and I was always buying and selling anything else. Back in 2010, things were different than they are even now. You could sell more stuff on Amazon. eBay was a little bit looser. There was plenty going on. You could find a lot of stuff. And we were out here in the near west, the northwest of Kansas. There was a lot of good stuff out there. There still is a lot of good stuff out in this area. And so we had a couple product changes that were planned. We had a couple product changes that were not planned. It's better it's better to add products by choice than it is to have a product line go bad and you have to hunt for something quickly. It's better to be a little bit diversified, at least in your understanding, so that if something happens, you can shift gears. When I was selling the air purifiers, I was in a fairly narrow band of where I could buy these things and where I could sell them effectively. And when that band was altered, I was going from having a very, very lucrative little part-time, full-time business to trickling in a few $100s a month. And of course the bills keep coming, so that's never good. I just felt like I was getting back on my feet. And so, I looked real thoroughly and quickly and found another marketplace. Now, I was not sold on the idea of buying and selling used stuff at that point. And so my vision coming into that did not allow me to get into the game I'm in now, which is vintage items and used cameras and all that kind of good stuff, signs and all that. I don't remember when American Pickers started, but it was somewhere around then, and that made me also think of, hey, I'm gonna get out there and see what's out there in America. And we started the American Picker type. We mimicked it, right? So adding products. So let's say you're in automotive. You buy and sell automotive products. You've got your ways to get them, whether it's you buy from mom and pop shops when they go out, you buy at auction, you strip cars down, you look for emblems for cars, you buy and sell tires. I don't know what you sell, but let's say you're in automotive. For an example, there would be two things to do. One, you could expand the products that you sell within automotive. We've thought about cameras. I've thought about it a lot. Having our own buy and sell website for vintage cameras, and then within cameras we could also become dealers in the newer stuff, and if we could figure out how to do it, we could buy and sell some new stuff as well. Those product lines, the vintage and the new cameras, would have a certain synergy, but they would be separate product lines. It would be a way to expand. I mean, you can only sell so many vintage cameras, even though it's a big market. If you have 100 of a certain cable release, it's going to take a while to sell those 100. But if I have 5 cable releases and 5 new Canon cameras or Pentax or whatever, those don't compete. So within your product line of car parts that you're selling, you could add something else within that business plan. You could find another product line that won't interfere with what you're doing, and you could add that to your business. That should be a way to expand your business. Now, if you're already leveraged on time, that might be hard. A lot of these things, like adding products, that's hard if you're already leveraged on time. So you might need to get rid of something else. So if you've got a product line that you look for that's this wide, these are what I look for mainly when I go out and look, however you're looking for your products, whoever you're buying them from, and you want to add something new to that you got your eye on, but you're leveraged in time and money, you might need to find your underperformers and narrow down a little bit so that you can add the new. I mean, I don't know what that would be called, the caterpillar. So slide your product line within your area, automotive, let's say, slide it from what you're buying down here a little bit, getting rid of the old that you don't want to deal with anymore and bringing in the new. Now you might want to experiment with the new to see if it's really a market, and you might want to make sure on the old. And all this sounds all cut and dry, but I realize it's not quite as cut and dry at that. But you can buy products within your sphere of understanding. You don't need to start a new eBay ID. You've got your automotive ID. Maybe you got a website where you sell some stuff on. Maybe you sell some stuff regionally to people. You don't necessarily need to create a whole new eBay account to do this kind of thing. You might be able to do it right within there. Now, we expanded our camera business from everything on one eBay channel, camera, to now we have two separate eBay accounts, and one liquidates stuff more or less, and one is more and more focused towards premium vintage. Okay, we separated that, or wanted to separate that, because they really are two different ends of the spectrum. And I added people to the mix, and so I needed a way to keep track of it and have all Wheeler's stuff on one channel and the other stuff on another channel made sense. So marketing wise and logistical wise, that makes sense. Okay, back to the car example. What if the car market, what if you feel you're doing about all you want to do there, but you feel like you want to expand your business, double your business, grow your business, but you see this pond over here and you want to go pursue that? Well, you can, right? So add a whole new product line. Now, everybody has seen these stores where it's like a furniture store, and then you go in there and there's something not related to furniture right in the middle of it, and it doesn't necessarily seem to make sense. So I'm a furniture store and here's the flower store right next to it inside there, or a travel agency, or something like that. It doesn't, there's a little cohesiveness lost. There might be a little trust lost. Hey, are you in the furniture business, or are you a florist? You know, you walk over there, you put on your florist visor, you walk over here, you put on your salesman blazer. So, you know, you're going to have to figure that out. If you got a successful car business, or you got a car business and you want to keep it compartmentalized, selling car parts, and now you want to sell skateboards, vintage skateboards, you might want to separate those two, right? Send the right message. I'm an expert in skateboards. I'm an expert in automotive. Now, you can be a generalist. You can sell them both in one area on one site. It depends what kind of message you want to put out. Depends on your, ability too, your time and money, etc., etc. So when you are small in the eBay business, I don't think it hurts to have several things for sale. But when you get larger, I think the message that you can send is, hey, I'm really invested in this camera stuff. Like for us, we're really invested in this camera stuff, we project that to people and they want to do business with us. So if you're really big into the car parts business, you might want to just keep that compartmentalized from the flower shop or the skateboard shop or whatever. So add products, add product lines. Are there product lines that you can add on eBay? Oh my goodness, of course there are. If you don't know what's out there, that might be the first step. A lot of times, if you just have your eyes open when you're out buying stuff, when you're out shopping, when you're out, vacationing, when you're out doodle-daddling, you will see some other opportunities. When you talk to more people, you will find more opportunities. And so a lot of times you'll just stumble on something and then it might sit in your brain for a while and then you might hit it again a few weeks or a few months later. You might be like, hey, maybe I should look into that, right? I'm interested in that. That looks interesting. And again, if you're a one-person shop, this can be tough. Everybody's got a life to live besides work. So you can't be doing it all the time. Some people are really into it. Some people don't live a balanced life. Some people are young and single and crazy and going for it, whatever. But anyhow, you can add other products. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So if you aren't running into something, if you don't have any ideas, you can go to eBay categories and you can pull up a category that sounds interesting to you and you can start fishing around in there. Find some listings you like, click on them, and you'll find some sellers that specialize in certain things, and you can look at what items they're selling, what items they've sold, the price range for those things that they're buying and selling. You can get a lot of information doing research like that, and you can find another category. So there's a couple ways to find other things to buy. One, you bump into them, then you start looking around, asking questions, you find out there's no more, you find out there's a bunch more, you go to eBay, sure enough, people are selling this stuff. Now you can enter that fray, or you can reverse engineer it and say, hey, I want to get into car parts. I want to get into prom dresses. I want to get into furniture. I want to get into XYZ. And then you can reverse engineer it and find out where you would need to go to get those things. Some of them might be readily available in your community. Others you might need to get more creative. I'll give you an example. If there is something that's not in my community, I could place ads in Denver, which is 3 hours away, and I could line up a bunch of people in Denver that have what I'm looking for, and I could say, hey, I'm going to be in Denver next Saturday. I will call you when I'm there. And I could just go from one appointment to the next looking at whatever. Denver's got, I don't know, 3, 5, 6 million people, whatever it is. I'm sure there are several categories I could go shopping for one way or another and line up stuff to look at. It doesn't have to be right where you're at. Now that can get expensive, and so entering a new category can be expensive. It can be expensive in learning. It can be expensive in mistakes. It can be expensive in you may have to buy more than you want to make a big splash. It's going to take some time to sort out a new category or new products. Some are easier than others. Some people are happy adding a few new products and making an extra $100 a month. That can make a difference for some people, part-time or full-time. I understand that. For me, if I'm going to drop everything and go to a new category, it needs to be ramped up quickly. I can't make $100 a month extra on a new category. I need to make 1,000 or more. I mean, it's all about where you're at. So there would be different strokes for different folks. There would be different entries into adding products. I think we've beat the bush on that enough. Okay, let's pause. Okay, so let's hit the next one here. Add people. Now, you want to grow your business. At some point, you may need to look at adding additional people to help you with your business. Now, in the buying and selling business, in the selling on eBay business, there are a number of things you can outsource. There are a number of ways that you can get more efficient, but at a certain point, no matter how you slice it, unless you do not have anything else that you do or any other time constraints or energy constraints, you're going to run out of time and energy for what you want to put in the business. And again, anybody can go on a sprint for a while, and anybody can double step for a while, and you can make more money. Some people, they work really hard for a while, they go on vacation. They work really hard, they go on vacation. Nothing wrong with that. Do whatever you want. But that's not what I'm talking about. At a certain point, you're going to need to consider adding somebody to pack your orders. Maybe you need somebody to source items for you, although that's my favorite thing to do. So if I have to cut that out, that doesn't sound that good. You may want to have somebody sort, clean, process, list your items. You may want to have somebody, answer questions for you. A lot of that, as you grow your business, and if you get embedded in your business, a lot of those things are hard to give up. And so that's where we're going to get to the fourth thing on my list here, which is the grow yourself. You want to grow your business, you're going to have to grow yourself. But let's say you want to add people. Okay, so I have been involved in small business for over 20 years, almost 30 years in one way or another. My first job out of college was an insurance inspector type person, insurance engineer. You'd go out and meet with small businesses, and basically on the low end of it, you were categorizing small businesses, loss control specialist, And so I got in with the business owners, and I got a glimpse of some of the things that business owners were doing. And for the most case, the businesses that I ran into, the business owner was embedded. And you kind of learned their mindset just by working with them a little bit. From there, I worked with a family business that when I joined it, there were my mom and 3 part-time people. And when I left the business 10 years later, we had 14 employees, 14 full-time employees. And so I got familiar with the dynamic of hiring people leaving, changing, growing, redoing tasks so that there would be, worker bees and there'd be management. So there'd be people doing a lot of the work, and then there'd be a manager directing some of the flow. That's sort of how a small business typically operates. There are variations of how it operates, but usually it's 1 or 2 people that are on the inside, brain trust of the business, and then everybody else is doing as much as they can. As much as can be outsourced from the owners, Now, franchises are a little bit different, but there is a similar principle there. So then we come along to my eBay business. I like being my own boss. I like calling my own shots. I've wanted to get my wife interested, and she does do some things for the business, and she's a sounding board for the business, and she's fun to have along on trips where we're doing some sourcing and some vacationing. Wheeler has shown interest in my business activities since he's been 5 years old. He just loves it, and that's how I grew up. So I recognized that right away. I was like, oh my gosh, here's me. So that's why we hit it off, even though we have a lot of different personality quirks. We both desire to run our own show, do our own thing, work hard towards goals. We like picking, we like wheeling and dealing with people, etc., etc., etc. So that was that from a people standpoint was a pretty good match. Now, getting it to work as a business and optimizing it and looking to the future, well, that's a whole new story. And then, my kids have always been around the business. They help me with certain things. Sometimes they want to get involved. Sometimes they say, do you want to get involved? Sometimes I say, you're getting involved. Here's some money. Here's some food. Here's some new shoes. Here's a plan. You want to join us part-time? Okay, well, there'll be a full-time opportunity. Here's how that looks. I mean, it progresses, but that's family. That's a whole different scenario. I have watched a few people on YouTube. I don't know if I can think of them or not, but one that I watched a few years ago had a few people listing for him, and he would show them from time to time, and he sort of disappeared from the YouTube scene. Gosh, I can't remember his name. Darn it. Anyway, somebody will probably remember. He had long hair sort of for a while, and developed his own. He manufactured his own computer plastic keyboard thing. Dallas Moore. There you go. Got it out of there somewhere. So Dallas Moore at some point was doing a lot of the sourcing, and I'm sure he was involved with some other parts of the business. I believe his wife was involved, and then he had some people listing, picturing, doing some stuff. And I watched that for a while, and I was like, okay, how can I do that? And so, that was interesting. So there are some models out there. Terminal 99? I know has some people that do some listing. I don't think he shows a lot of that, but he's talked about outsourcing some things. I know some other people outsource some things. Craigslist Hunter, obviously successful in business, and his YouTube channel. He has a whole shop where he has some help, some partners in business, some people that do some listing for him. He does some pretty good volume. I know there's others. There's husband and wife teams. There's teams out there. So there are some examples on how to add people. Personally, I have looked at the idea of adding people outside my family, and we even did that once, and it just doesn't work out that well. Mainly because people that I associate with, like on a friend level, they're not just going to want to list for me. They typically come from professional whatever, and even if they did list for me, eventually they're just going to start their own business. So why would they want to work for me? So listing, if you want to hire a lister outside, I really don't know how to do that. You would need to narrow down what you need them to do and figure that out. Maybe there's a way to do that. Some people outsource their stuff to India or another country. I don't know how you do that either. Some people, may add people in another way. But the idea of adding a person is taking a task or sets of tasks that you already do, and instead of you doing them, somebody else does them. You oversee it for a while. You hope to get them trained up to speed. You hope you can trust them. You hope they're doing a good job. You have some checkpoints in there. There's some logistical things coming and going. Do you want somebody coming into your house? Do you have a commercial location? On and on and on. There's a whole bunch of factors, but the theory of it is, now you spent 10 hours a week yourself doing it. Now you're paying somebody to do it 20 hours a week, and you take that time and reinvest it in your business or your life somewhere. Grow your business, right? Anybody who has done anything in business has had to outsource some of the things they enjoyed, some of the things they were really well at, some of the things they were really good at, some of the things that they didn't want to give up. It's a feeling that you have. Now, the really successful entrepreneurs, and a lot of them, I'm talking like big company people, they're wacko. But they learned to outsource like crazy. You want the crazy pigger life. Some of these big company people, when you get to know them, they are wacko. Whoop, whoop, woo. Maybe it's the journey that did that to them. Do you want to be like them? Do you really want to grow your business? I don't think that's what we're talking about. I envision this crazy picker life thing, 10, 20 people. I can see it that big, 10, 20 people working in the same building. I can see that for this business that I'm in. Bigger than that, I can't see it. I can't see the reason for it. So part of it is your mindset. How big can you see it, you know? Now, could an eBay type business go off and form 100-person business of some sort? Heck yeah, start your own eBay clone. Start your own selling platform. You know, buy a bunch of land and start a flea market. I mean, you could take buying and selling, and I'm not talking about adding products here. I'm talking about like taking your business and, you know, really going outside your whole category. There are opportunities within the buying and selling business for a 100-person business. Maybe you're going to be in the auction business. Well, whatever, you know, maybe you're going to buy and sell yachts and you need 20 people to clean them and 10 people to test them and 10 friends to go out and open your champagne when you hit it on there, you know, whatever. But that's not quite what I'm talking about. For most of us, I'm talking about going from one person to one person and one part-time, and then one person to another full-time, and one person to two people to third part-time, and then maybe full-time, and maybe you got 5 or 6, and then it starts to get kind of googly and crazy, right? That's more what I'm talking about. So this is my own experience. I've had more employees. I've had more people around. I've worked in bigger places. I can see from my own experience that having Wheeler and Banana Peeler and Kate and my wife, this is getting to be kind of a handful. Organizing it, figuring it out, communicating with each other. I can see, you know, what we need as far as space, individual offices, computers, the way we communicate, the schedules, how we would coordinate that, product flow. I'm starting to see it all, but you can't necessarily see it all from the beginning. I couldn't. So it's been a progressive thing. But the bottom line is, if you want to grow your business, when you go away on vacation, if you want somebody to pack your orders, or you want to leave your items running, or you want to not do everything, sooner or later you're going to have to add people or outside help. There's you know, there's people that buy stuff and send it to Amazon. That's like adding people. You send it to Amazon, I guess it's what, FBA or whatever, where they house it and pick it and ship it and deal with the returns. That's like adding people. That's a way to leverage yourself. You're adding people. You're adding Amazon's people. You're paying for it. Now, my advice for adding products, adding people is not, you know, legal advice or accounting advice or tax advice. None of that. You have to figure that out for yourself. There's plenty of experts out there. Adding product lines costs money, takes time, you can fail. Adding people takes time, costs money, it can fail. So, you know, all that stuff is scary, but you can do it. I'm doing it, and I'm still alive. I still have some hair. Maybe I have to drink another beer a month just to cope. That's not a bad trade, right? One more beer a month just to cope. Oh, gosh. Add outlets. Number 3 on the list out of 4. Add outlets. What the heck does that mean? I had to add outlets downstairs here because we needed some more outlets to plug in some computers and test some things. And then Wheeler comes along with a 1200 watt stun gun 1960s flash gun and melted all the outlets. Is that what I'm talking about? Add outlets? Oh my gosh, we almost had a fire. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay. So, adding outlets could be buying stuff, places that you buy stuff from. For us, for example, we started out buying cameras more onesie-twosie. Then we searched out collections and we bought bigger boxes of cameras. Then we went to places where cameras accumulated, and we kept finding different places, and pretty soon we found out great places to buy cameras, right? And so our buying in the camera business has been a big change in our growth of our camera business. And if we would have stayed just going to rummage sales and buying 1 or 2 cameras here, there, and everywhere, our business would not look like it is today. So outlets, you do need to change where you're buying from if you want to grow your business. Now, you may already be at the pinnacle. You may be happy where you're at, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about if you want to grow your business, you need to constantly look for better and better suppliers of what you're selling. They are out there. Everybody can get comfortable, but if you're comfortable, are you growing or are you going? Comfortable people are going. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be sprinting all the time. I prefer to take vacations and time off scheduled, though, rather than I have to. Like if I'm sprinting all the time, you might have to take a vacation. You might have to go to the hospital. If you're sprinting all the time, you might lose your friends and family, and you might have to take a little vacation to the mental institute or whatever, right? So planned vacations are better, and in business, I like to do that. Let's not get too far off track. Add outlets. Okay, let's go to the other side of adding outlets. People have asked me, do you sell cameras on Amazon? And we have, but mostly what we've sold on Amazon has been new in package. Amazon is better suited to new in package. If eBay went down for us, the first place I would look to sell vintage camera stuff probably would be on Amazon, and then I would do a wide sweep of where I should be selling from there. There are other platforms. We would probably, if we shifted our business to Pinterest, I don't know, Bonanza, there's some other ones out there. Everybody's got their little things that they're selling on out there, little, big, medium, whatever. We would make a splash somewhere. Now, proactively, I would like to expand my outlets to some other selling outlets. You can sell on other platforms besides eBay and Amazon. You can sell in once-a-month garage sales, like, Resale Rabbit. I've been watching a little bit of what he does, and he's from my old stomping ground somewhere up in Illinois, Wisconsin. I don't know exactly where. I haven't watched enough. But he has a once a month, it sounds like, dollar liquidation sale. I don't know, he has it at his warehouse or whatever, but he gets a bunch of stuff. People come in, he blows out a bunch of stuff. You can do something like that. You can bring your stuff to any of a number of consignment type situations, from high end to low end blow it out auctions. You can set up your own thing at the flea market, and the flea market can mean any number of indoor outdoor selling type situations. You can post stuff on classifieds and Craigslist and all the variations of that. You can have your own website. You can have your own store, all the way from high end niche, whatever you're into, to thrift store. You can partner with any one of these kind of things. So you can develop different outlets. Now, if you are not good in one outlet, do not think you can start another one and all of a sudden be successful in it. Now, If you find out, let's say, eBay's not your thing, well, maybe what I would do is I would say, well, what are you buying and selling? And is it suited to eBay, or is it you? And if it's not suited to eBay, find somebody else that's selling it some other way successfully, and then maybe pursue that as a primary or a secondary to eBay. But if you suck on eBay, going somewhere else isn't going to change your buying and selling in a lot of cases. If you suck in one venue, you're probably going to have to learn a bunch and suck in another one. So, you know, the other side of the fence is not what I'm talking about. You need to master something. Now, not all businesses, not all buy-sell things are good on eBay, but for items, eBay's pretty good. There's a market for a lot of things. I mean, I sold these $5,000 ROM 4-minute mile exercise machines where you're hanging on here and your legs are on something else and you're flopping and flying all over. Your legs are flailing, your arms are flailing. All you gotta do is work out for 4 minutes and you're like, woo! I had to crate those darn things up. They barely fit on the truck that would show up and ship them across the country, sight unseen. Somebody would buy them and you hope they would like them. I bought a couple for $1,500 and sold them for $5,000 each, more or less. So other people sell cars. I bought a car off eBay. I sold a couple. Let's see, what did I sell? I sold it classified ads. People sell real estate on eBay. I think that's a hard deal, but some people do it. Some people sell, you know, gold panning land or something. Quick claim deeds. Here you go. You can start your old gold panning business. So, I mean, there are just literally dozens and hundreds of successful businesses in every single industry on eBay. So if you're not doing well on eBay, taking it over somewhere else may not be the answer. But if you're doing good on eBay, and if you're watching my channel, most people are doing business on eBay or Amazon, or they want to. If you're doing something brick and mortar successful and you want to do it on eBay, you can do that. But the point is, just changing venue or adding another venue does not guarantee your success. For us, I would like to have our own website. I would like it to be a planned adventure. I would like it to start like with a phase 1 and have a phase 2 and a phase 3 and a phase 4 in mind before I start phase 1. So I'd have a plan. Hey, we want to achieve expert customer service in this area. And then the next step is to add a couple components to that. On and on and on, right? So these outlets that you're thinking of adding can also add buying opportunities. Anytime you have more exposure in your business, other people are going to want to sell to you too. So we've had to tread carefully with some of the things that we've done, like giving out business cards. We thought, hey, we'll give out business cards. People will know we're in the camera business, blah, blah, blah. We started getting so many calls and so many leads that we just could not handle it. You could spend all day talking to people about their $3 camera. So you may find out things as you experiment with the idea of adding outlets. I would like to add a website. I would like to delve a little more into selling on Amazon or at least one other platform. I would like to actually buy and sell miscellaneous stuff, whether it be from storage auctions or buying out stores, liquidating stores, or whatever. And I'd like to sell that partially through online, partially to the garbage, and partially in some sort of a retail setting. I want to do that. It doesn't fit in my current business model, but I want to do that. I don't know if I want to be a pawn store, but maybe. sanity might also tell me that I almost should just be online. And what I could do, rather than like do something like that, is I could take some stuff and I could outsource it. That probably would be better for me. Outsource the stuff and have somebody else that's already set up, sell it, split the profit, get a percentage, whatever. So anyway, my mind is thinking of other outlets. My mind is thinking of adding products right now. What can I add? My mind is thinking of adding people right now. Who can I add? How can I do that? My mind is thinking about new places to buy and new places to sell. Those three things are always on my mind when I have a free moment, and my gears are always turning. But when I take those three things and I scribble some things down and I watch YouTube videos and I listen to how people are doing business and I watch how people are doing business, whether it's online or in the real physical world, all those things are always churning for me. How do I want to do business? How do I grow my business? Now for me, the reason I want to grow my business, who doesn't want a little more money? Who doesn't want a little more success in their business? But I also am thinking about the futures of my family. If they want to use this as a stepping stone to something else, if they want to do this with their life and put their life into this business, which I think it's a good enough business to support my kids and their families if they want to do that. I have a bigger thing than just make money. So you have to come up with your why. Why would you expand your business? Maybe you want to, quit your job and do this full time. Maybe you want to do this part time as an addition to something else, extra money. Maybe it complements your business. Maybe you have a brick and mortar business and the internet business would complement it. Maybe your wife wants to, or your husband wants to get out of business that they're in or get out of the work they're in, and you want to help them start a home business and you want to do this or grow it so that they can quit their job. Whatever the reason, right? You should have a why. Maybe you want to retire someday. Maybe you want to retire and have a retirement income, like an eBay business retirement income. We could go on and on and on, but you should develop a why. Now, this talk is not about that. This talk is about growing your business. My last item, grow yourself. So what does grow yourself mean? The interesting thing about grow yourself is the people that probably need it the most don't get it. They don't get what that means. They have no idea what grow yourself. They're like this, tunnel vision. If you can see that, I've got my blinders on. Grow yourself, blankety blank that. I'm going to do it my way. I'm doing it this way. I don't know why I'm not successful. What do you mean? So, I don't know exactly how to tread lightly on that, but if you've never thought about growing yourself, you need to figure out what that is. Now, growing yourself in business really means this. You need to study other successful businesses. You need to listen to those successful people. You do not need to do everything they say. You do not need to like those people. You do not need to believe in everything they say. You do not need to scream their name from the tallest trees. Oh, that person is the greatest. But you can take something from what they're doing and you can think about it and you can apply it to your own situation. So look at successful business people. Look at successful buy and sellers. Look at successful people in all areas of business, okay? That's one thing you can do. You can also sharpen your personal saw. So if you're not feeling good, figure out how to feel good. If you don't have energy, figure out how to get energy. If you don't feel smart enough, figure out how to feel smarter. If you don't feel confident enough in talking to people, figure out how you're going to start talking to people. If you don't feel skilled enough in bookkeeping or accounting, don't let it hold you back. Go get a inexpensive bookkeeper or accountant. Whatever your limitations are that's holding you back from doing this, growing your business, whatever those limitations are, that's part of growing yourself. You need to get out of your box. It's more like a triangle. Get out of your box, pop up out of there, hey! And you need to figure out what's holding you back, and that's probably where you need to go, where it hurts. So there are plenty of books out there, how to be happy all the time, how to be smooth sailing all the time, how to make $1 million before you retire, da da da. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. There's the self-help aisle in all the bookstores and online. Can you get some help out of those? Well, sure you can. I mean, I think you can probably learn something from most situations, whether you read it, experience it, talk to people, watch it, whatever. But for the most part, you want to spend your time wisely. You probably need to do some self-reflection and figure out what's holding me back. You know, am I a procrastinator? Can't get started? Do I have fear of failure? Do I think I'm going to buy something and lose money? I'm not good with my time. I work 15 hours a day, but I only seem to get 6 hours output. I can't seem to put my shoes on. I don't even know where they are. I mean, whatever it is, right? Identify some of these things. You don't have to tell anybody till you're ready. You don't have to wear a shirt saying, here's all my losses, here's what I suck at. You know, you can have the poker face. But the point is, be honest with yourself. What's holding you back? And sometimes we don't even know. So here's a tough one. Who do you trust? Who are you close to? You want a realization? Go up to somebody like that, like your spouse or your kids or your business partner or whoever. Go up to them and say, hey, you know what? I'm doing pretty good in my business here, but I want to grow my business. What are my limitations? And then be ready. But most people will be somewhat honest with you, and some of the things they say you might want to look at because they aren't always evident. And again, I think the people that need it the most, which is probably, if this whole, where am I at? This whole screen is everybody, probably 75% of us, 50% of us, the people that need to grow our business. We need to grow ourselves to grow our business. I'm going to try to get out of that. I want to be in the other group where I don't need to be in there. But if you're in the group, we don't know what it takes. We're too blind to it. We live in this all the time. We think everything's great, right? So I'm sure there's other ways to grow your business. I used to buy materials from this marketing genius called Jay Abraham, and he used to put out all this marketing material. I don't remember, but he had a booklet, 100 Ways to Grow Your Business, and he had some real good ones in there. And I think early in his game, he used to go out to businesses and want to be hired, and he'd sit there and he'd talk through these things in some sort of an opening consultation with the business and say, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? And the business owner's head starts to spin around because they realize that their channels of buying and selling are so narrow that there's so many possibilities that I better hire this guy. So that guy's stuff was pretty good. But you can, you can get into information that's readily available, and you can go down a lot of tangents and never get anything out of it too. So there has to be some action plan. Create some actionable events. Create some small ones. Get some successes, Start moving in that direction. If you're here and you want to be over here, that ain't going to happen all in one thing. You got to get some little actionable steps. Okay? It's easy to be here and to think about being there and not do anything, and then the next year comes and you're one notch over and you still want to be here, but you're in the same spot, and the next year you're here again and here again and here again, and you never grow your business the way you want to. So you have to be proactive. You have to have some actionable steps. I like the one-page plan. Keep developing those kind of things, you know. I think it's time to end. 5:23. It's definitely time to end. Hope you enjoyed the talk. I got to go out to eat. I smell food. That means I got to leave. Pick well, list often. Dealer out till Monday.
Hey, Wheeler.
Dealer Production.